I've talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that.
Vice President Harris's powerful defense and response to Donald Trump's claims that everyone wanted Roe overturned at Tuesday night's presidential debate has never happened before. No one's ever said those things on a presidential debate stage. That answer has caused Republicans to start to spiral on the issue, as Vice President Harris unapologetically laid out the actual horrors that Trump has unleashed in America, what he's created for every American woman. It's so threatening to the Republican Party that they're trying to whitewash it, trying to just deny that it's even happening. Trump's former director of the White House Office of Presidential Personnel, a fellow named John McEntee, took to TikTok to cast doubt on whether women were actually being denied care at all.
Can someone track down the women Kamala Harris says are bleeding out in parking lots because Roe v. Wade was overturned? Don't hold your breath.
He seems nice. The callousness, the stupidity politically is astounding. An Idaho woman, Carmen Brewster, who miscarried for 19 days after being turned away from 3 emergency rooms, quickly rebutted that claim.
Present. I'm right here. I had a 19-day miscarriage in Idaho because of the abortion regulations. I blacked out in my hallway due to blood loss. I stopped eating, so my daughter stopped eating. So I had to eat with tears running down my face because it was actually painful to eat because I was in so much pain. Everything hurt. I developed a heart condition called AFib. It means my heart doesn't work right anymore. And it up. So if I get too excited, too hot, too much in pain, too traumatized, my heart up. And so I have to regulate for my heart to keep active. Otherwise, I could have a heart attack and die. I have to deal with these side effects for the rest of my life because of abortion laws. But yeah, women are bleeding out in parking lots.
Take that, John McEntee. Joining me here at the table, my dear friend, actor and activist Rosie Perez. Also joining us, Democratic Congresswoman from New York, Nydia Velázquez. Congresswoman, first of all, just your thoughts. I mean, we live in hyperspeed. How do you feel after Tuesday night's debate?
Well, Kamala Harris was able to present herself to the nation and to make the case that she was ready to serve as our next commander-in-chief.
Yeah, she did. It's amazing that she still has to pass those tests, and all Donald Trump has to do is sort of get his jacket on. But she did something that had never happened before. And, you know, there's all this sort of overdrive speed to consume everything that's going to happen and then to analyze it. But I watched that clip again today, and no woman has stood on the debate stage and described what it's like to have a miscarriage. No woman's ever stood on the debate stage and spoken up for a victim of rape or incest, ever. I mean, that no one's ever had to run against Trump, but no one's ever run. This is the first presidential election to take place in post-Dobbs America.
Yeah.
And I wonder what you think women heard in that moment.
I think women heard somebody advocating for their rights, advocating for their pain, advocating for their need for a successful life. I think that they heard someone really just speaking truth, things that they wanted to say, things that they wanted to raise their hand and say, wait a minute, this is what's the real deal. This is what's really happening. And, you know, I've been pretty silent, as you know, on social media in regards to politics. But after the overturn of Roe v. Wade, I'm like, no, it's time to stand up. This election is so close, and we cannot miss a beat, and we need to get out there and vote. And you can say, well, I'm worried about my taxes. Well, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about women's freedom. I'm worried about the freedom for democracy. I'm worried about a young person getting pregnant who's ready to go to college and is not ready to have a child, and their whole life is going to be turned upside down. I'm worried about the boy who impregnated that woman, who also has dreams and aspirations, and that will be put on hold. I'm worried about all the unwanted children that may come into this world if that man gets elected. I was one of those kids, as you know. I come from abject poverty and severe child abuse. I was an unwanted child. Am I happy I'm here? Yes, but I could have done without all that abuse. And so has so many other people. And you think about Republicans saying, well, I'm worried about my money. You should be worried about your money. Because if that man goes into office, who's going to pick up the tab? You don't like paying for welfare now? Honey, just wait. Who's going to pay for all the family court sessions? Who's going to pay for all the food supplement, the SNAP programs? Who's going to pay for all the Section 8 housing that's going to be needed? Who's going to pay for all of these things? You know, and we want the American dream for everybody. Those American dreams will be put on hold. And that's going to affect our economic wheel as well. But it's also the mental health issue. It breaks my heart, Nicole, and you know this. You've heard me cry over the phone. To think about all the potential abuse that can come with this. Child abuse, spousal abuse. The #1 cause for women of dying during pregnancy is not a miscarriage. It's by their partner, because they did not want to have that child. These are ugly things that we don't like to talk about, but we need to talk about it. So all you women out there and men who have children, who you fought so hard for their future, think about it. Think about your son who goes to spring break and has a great night. And then all of a sudden, the girl says, you know what, I'm pregnant. What's going to happen if you live in a state where there is an abortion ban? Or if you live in America where there's going to be a potential national abortion ban? We really have to take things very seriously.